and I've been working with programmers.io for 1.5 years. And today we have a session on CLLE basics, which will be taken by Saurabh Kumar. So now I'll hand over to Saurabh. So yeah, Saurabh, you can start.
Hey everyone, good afternoon. Myself Saurav. I have been working with IBM for the past 5 years, uh, and in Programmers IO, I'm working since past 2.5 years. So today we are going to cover the topic of CL basics, and in the coming days, you will be briefed about other concepts in CL. There are total 3 sessions scheduled for this. So I'll share my screen. So in today's session, we'll be covering the basic introduction. What is a CL? CL meaning the control language. What is that? Then what are the use cases and limitations of of a CL control language? What is a basic structure uh, in which we write the program, CL based program? What are some common commands that we used in CL? And finally, how do we perform operations on the variables? Okay. So CL is a control language which allows the programmers to write programs using the IBMI commands. Now, if I share my session over here, then we have this command line, right? So in this command line, we put different commands to get into the SDA. We put in the commands to work with the PDM member. We go into the IFS directories through this. So we put commands in this command line. And when we want to put a series of commands in a program, that is what we call as a command language. The type for that command language can be a CL or a CLLE, CLLE being the ILE based and CL being the basic one. So if I want to put some commands, a series of commands, I'll be using this. And some of the basic commands that we are familiar are the work member PDM, the work active job. Then there are some specific retrieve job attributes that is used in the CL language only, and you cannot use some commands on the command line, and vice versa. Some commands, for example, work member PDM, you can use on the command line, but not in the uh, inside the program. Then why do we use control language? So control languages are used, CL programs are used to run the programs either in interactive mode or a batch mode. Interactive mode is the one in which your session will be logged, and all the programs that are running will be running on the foreground, and you won't be able to do anything unless the completion unless that program is completed. However, mode is the one in which whatever program you are calling is submitted to a batch, and it runs in the background, and you are notified, means there can be functionality implemented which will notify you once that batch program is completed. CLs are also used uh, to build a base driver program, which in turn call different RPG programs that you already have studied. So if we want to put a sequence of the programs, suppose program 1 need to be called first, then program 2, then program 3, then we can write all that in a driver program which can be a CL, and from there we can drive everything. CLs are also used to monitor uh, for the error handling basically. So the example that we just discussed, in which we had program 1, 2, 3, and something happens in program 2, and you want to trap that in the driver program itself, you can do so. Then CLs can also be used to change the attribute of certain objects and then process them. For example, uh, you want to put some operations on only some of the records of a file. You want to process only some of the records from a file. There are hundreds of records, and you want to operate only on the records which are with active status. So you can first change the attribute of the object to select only the active records, and then you can call the respective RPG program to process only the active records. Then there are some limitations also for CL. For example, the in CL there are very limited capabilities with the printer files that we have. You cannot use printer files in a CL. Also, it doesn't support the subfiles that you will be learning in the coming sessions. And in a single CL, there can be only limited number of files, physical files that you can operate with. Then coming to the structure of a CL program. So the programs start with the programs start with a PGM tag, PGM, and they end with a NPGM. Now this PGM and NPGM are optional, uh, and these are only mandatory when you are passing some parameters to that CL program. We will be exploring further how to pass the parameters and everything. So for now, just keep a note that PGM and NPGM, the first and the last line, are these two parameters. These two are optional, and these are only needed when you are passing the parameters to a certain CL program. And similar to the structure of a RPG program, you have the declare specification. You have the declare specification in RPG. Here we have the declare commands that we usually define at the top of the program. For example, all the variables that we'll be using and following the same structure of a RPG program. Now DCL is the declare, which is a declare, which is used to declare the variables that you will be using inside the program. DCLF is a command which is used to declare the files that you will be using on a CL program. Then you can put the include command, for example, to include some copybooks and all. So that comes next, and after that you can likewise, like in this RPG program, you jump into the calculation spec. Here we have this CL processing commands in which you can use change var, delete file, retrieve system values, retrieve job attributes. Like these commands we usually use in CL. Then we have these logic control commands. Uh, if, then, else, do and do while, do until. Everything that we have there uh, is also present in a CL with a slight change of the syntax. The basic functionality is the same. There will be a slight change of the syntax, and that is all. Then there are some built-in functions, substring, upper, lower, trim. All that is also available in a CL program. Then we have the program control commands also. Uh, for example, you want to call another program within the CL, then you can do that too. And finally, the NPG. So we'll jump into the CL program and see how we declare the variables and everything. So we'll be following this structure, PGM and NPGM. PGM starting with the PGM, and if I go to the bottom, we'll have the NPGM. Then this is first of all, this is how we declare comments in a CL. You'll have to uh, means in RPG free format we put a star on this column. Here in CL we put a slash star and close that command with a star slash. and inside whatever you put will be treated as a comment. PGM tag we already discussed. This is declared at the top and is mandatory only in the case you are sending a parameters. And if you are sending a parameters, you will be putting those here. In also in CL, all the variables are start with and. So we tell the CL program or compiler that whatever starting with and is a variable name basically. So if I'm receiving something, then I can put as PGM. I'm pressing F4, then you'll be prompted to the screen. Here you can put in the variables, the parameters that you want to receive. Pressing enter and this will be there. Okay. Then comes how do we declare the variables. Now, if I press F4 over here, here also we have different type of data types that we can use. A decimal, normal decimal, with uh, you uh, with the length and the decimal positions. Then you have the character. Then these are the logical, or you can say indicators. Either this will be on or off. This is int. This is unsigned int. The only difference is unsigned int will have only the positive numbers, and means the size is the same. It will only contain the positive numbers. And then you can also declare a data type with a pointer. Okay. Then storage is auto, and here you define the length. Once you define the length, you can also put in the initial value. Okay. How did I came to that screen? So if I want to declare another variable, I'll insert prompt DCL, press F4, and here you can put in the variable name. Now variable name start with and, as we already discussed. I declared a variable. I need to assign the data type to that. So I can put like this. Then it asks for the permission and the length and the decimal positions. So length I can give it, and if I want to assign some initial value, I'll have to put that in quotes since it is a string variable. And so the whole command, this is a whole command. It will be auto filled for you. The other way you can also write it directly if you want to declare. So you want to declare a variable, and you just need variable name and a type and then length. All these three parameters are mandatory to declare a variable, and once you do that, then you should be good. So if I declare a new variable, so this is also declared now. The other parts, if you want to declare a numeric variable, then you put the type as start dec decimal, and you in the length you give as the length and then the decimal places. When I press F4 onto this, you can see that the length of this variable is 10, decimal positions are 0. And this is a CL variable name and the type is a decimal. Okay. If you want to assign the initial value, that is fine. If you don't want to assign it, a default will be set to that variable. Similarly, we can declare the characters, the string variables. These are the different string variables that I've declared in this program. Then this is the logical data type indicator that I have used. I have given the type as LGL. You can assign a default value if you want, or else you can keep it as a blank. Okay. So these are the different types of the variables, and how do you declare those in a CL program? Now let's see some operations on those variables. I'll get into the debug mode. Okay, we'll just skip over this. Come back. We'll come back to this later. Now, looking at the operations on the variables. So, if I want currently this num2, and here also in debug mode, if you want to see the variable, you'll have to put and in front of that variable name. So currently the num2 variable value is 0. The num1 variable is having a 4 value. Okay. Now simple addition operation here. So what I did was change where. What I did was I put in a command change where, then pressed F4. This is the result field, result variable in which you want to store the result. I put in the number variable num2, and what is the new value for that variable? This is, I just put a add operation over there. Okay, so num1 is currently 4. When I add 4 plus 10, I'll get the value in num2, 14. Similarly, I can add two different variables. So same operation here. What I did was change var, pressed F4, put in the CL variable name in which you want to store the result. In the new value, just put in the operations that you want to do. So what I did was num1 plus num2. Currently num1 is 14, num2 is 14, num1 is 4. Okay. So the final result should be 18 and stored in num1. This is how we do the additions or subtraction, division, multiplication. You can do in the same format. Here also the same thing need to be you need to keep in mind is only the same data types can be added or subtracted. And if you want to put a string variable into numeric field, that will give you a compilation error. You can't do that. Similarly, let's see how you manipulate the indicators that we have declared. So if we check into, this is currently set to 1. And if you want to turn it off, then you can use change for, press F4, change for, press F4, given the CL variable name and what is the new value assigned. So if you want to turn that off, you just put a 0 inside the quotes. If you want to turn it on, you just put 1 over there. And currently it's active, it's on. And now just see what happens here. It's turned off. Okay. So this is how you manipulate the indicators. This is how you manipulate the numeric values. Now coming to the strings. How do we add multiple strings? Concatenate different strings. In CL, we have three different keywords, yeah, operation codes that you can use. One is concatenation. The other is concatenation with the blank inserted, bcat. Then the third one is concatenation with the trailing blank truncation, which means that it will truncate everything from the first variable and then add the second variable as it is. What concatenation do is it will pick the first variable no matter what the length, then add the second variable into that. So we'll just explore this. So let's see what's the current value in string 4. Okay, so it is starting from position 1 to 7, and then 8, 9, 10 are blanks. Okay, message 1 currently is a blank of 80 characters or 50 characters, I think. Yeah. Okay. So concatenation, what I'm doing is I'm adding A, B, E, C, and a blank to our variable, the string 4. So concatenation just picks whatever is there in the first variable and adds the second variable as it is to that. So let's see what the result comes. See, there was a single blank, so that is why a single blank is kept here. This is from the variable 1 and this is from the variable 2. It just add those two variables as it is. Okay. Now this is a basic concatenation operation. Now let's see what is a bcat. What it does is it removes all the spaces first from the first variable, and then it just puts a space, a single space, and then concatenates the two. So currently the first variable is having a b c, then there are two blank spaces, two blank spots. So it is like this: ABC 1 2, and if I did a CAT onto this, then the result would have been this, right? Now what I'm doing is a bcat. So what it will do is, first it will remove all the spaces, then it will put a single space, and this will be the final result. This is the meaning of a bcat: concatenation with a blank insertion. Now let's see what happens in the result. String 4 is Saurav starting from place position 1. ABC is of 5 length with 2 spaces. Now let's see. You have to put N. So it removed those 2 spaces and inserted a single blank. Okay, this is what a bcat does. We explored concatenation, which is a straightforward concatenation. Bcat is a concatenation with a blank. So it will remove all the blanks from the first string or first variable and then put a single space and add those two. Now let's see what is a tcat, which says concatenation with trailing blank truncation. So no matter how much spaces are there in the first variable, it will concatenate all of them and join the two strings. So let's see. So string 4 is sorrow, ABC with a single space. ABC single space and so on. So if I had used star cat onto this, then the result will be the like this. If I used bcat, then it would have removed the spaces from the first and then inserted a single space. In the third case, it will remove all the trailing blanks from the first variable. So it will remove the trailing blanks from the first variable, and this will be your final result in the case of a tcat. Okay, so let's see the result. So it had removed that. Also, now, okay, so we have this concatenation. We can also use a symbol, pipe symbol, double pipe symbol for the concatenation. For the bcat, we can use a pipe symbol with a greater than sign. And for the truncation, we can use a pipe symbol with a less than sign. So what this means is, I'm writing star cat. I can replace that with a double pipe symbol. So if I just inserted this, that will be the same result as we currently got. Okay, this is how we concatenate the strings. Now let's see how we substring the strings. I want to op- means put a substring operation onto a string. For example, This is my variable str4, and I just want to get the starting from position 1. I want to get just the 5 characters. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and I don't want to. So I can get this using a built-in function called percentage SST. I'll apply on, I use that onto a variable name, and then this is the starting position from where I want to substring that, and this is the total length of characters I want to get from that string. And putting that with the tcat, so these spaces will be removed, and in the message one, will have the final outcome as 5 places from the variable 2. Let's see that. Okay, so this is how we do a substring onto a variable in a CL program. Just to revise you, in a RPG program, we use this sub str, and with that we put in the variable name. Then we put in a colon. Then we put in the starting position, and then uh, how many characters you want from that position, 10. Or in this case, if I just put 5, this is how you'll write the same this statement in a RPG program. Everything is the same, just a change in the syntax, and other things are the same. The basic concept is the same. This also comes very handy. There are many operations with the substring manipulation or the numeric manipulations, and we use these in that. Now, the lower and the uppercase, we have the built-in function in CL. In RPG, you must remember we had this operation xlate, where we define two variables, lower, upper, in the factor one. Then you put xlate, and then the variable on which you want to do that operation, and the final where you want to store the result. This was uh, the translate in the RPG, how you convert it from lower to upper. This lower was having a string of ABC in the lower characters, A to Z. Upper was in the caps, A to Z, and this is how you converted that. So here we have the built-in functions lower and upper straight away. So currently you have this in the message one field. So what I'm doing is I'm converting into a lowercase. So how I did that? I just put in change var, press F4, CL variable name on which you want to perform the operation, and what operation you want on that. What is the new value that you want to assign to that variable? So I simply put percentage lower and gave the variable name for which I want to do that. So when I run this statement, I get okay. Similarly, the uppercase, right? Putting writing change var anywhere, change var, pressing F4 in the variable, and what value do you want to assign that? Let's convert that into uppercase and the variable name. Enter. So this will be written. Pressing F10 now, and let's see the message one. Okay, this is how you convert from the lowercase to the uppercase. So let's quickly revise. We started with the concatenation operation. You can either use double pipe symbol or star cat. the first variable, the second variable. How the concatenation will work is it will pick everything, means whatever the maximum length of the first variable is, it will pick all that, concatenate it to the second variable. Bcat is a concatenation, but it removes all the trailing blanks from the first and just inserts a single space and adds that. Tcat is trailing everything from the first variable and adding the second variable to it. Okay. Then we looked at the substring, how substring works in a CL. Everything is the same, just a change of the built-in function syntax. In RPG, we use substr. Here we use SST. And then we looked at the lower and the upper. In RPG, we do that with xlate. Here we do that with lower and upper built-in functions that we have. Okay. So this was related to the working with the variables. Now, what are the different commands that I can use in a CL program and how to work with those? So starting off with the retrieve member descriptions. This is a very important command in CL. If I just retrieve member descriptions, pressing F4 now. Now you can see I can use any of these variables, return system, library, member. What is the library that I have to give a file name. So if this is the file name, emppf, library is the this one. So I can even if I don't give the library name, I can put in library list. And if I want to see from where this particular physical file emppf is being referred from, I can give in a variable name here. And I need to declare this variable. And when I run this command, retrieve member descriptions, the library name for that physical file will be stored, will be retrieved in this variable. Similarly, I can file attribute, whether it's a physical file, source file, logical file, I can get that here. Then type, source change date, when was the last change for the source? And then when was this object created? What is the text on that object? Then how many number of records that are present on that? And this thing is also important. You have the system, so this is 4 character, 10 character, 10 decimal, 15 decimal. So you have to keep in mind that, keep that in mind. So when I'm using this variable, now this variable has to be of 10 length. This variable has to be of 3 character. This variable has to be of 10 decimal, number of current records. How many records exist in that file? I don't need to put a do while loop and see how many records are there. I don't need to run a SQL statement. I can directly put a retrieve member description given a variable name in this field, given the physical file name over here. And you can directly get how many records are there in that file at this point of time. Okay. Similarly, deleted records, how many records are deleted? If you press F1 onto this, you can get the description for that too. So everything is just laid down here. You just need to go through that, explore these options by yourself and see what all things you can perform over here. Okay. What was the change date, save date, restore date, everything that you can get for the physical file, you can get that inside the program. Now suppose how helpful it will be if you want to perform some set of operations based on the number of records in a physical file. Just run the command retrieve member description and get the total number of records, and then you can perform the actions accordingly. So for example, if there are no records, don't run the statements on the don't run the uh, operations on that file. You can simply skip that, right? So this is very helpful in a CL program. This is retrieve member description, very important and very helpful. Then let's see about the system val. What is this? Just a minute. Okay. Retrieve system value. So what it does is it gets you the certain system values, and let's see how this works. Retrieve system value, press F4. Then this tells you what is the system value that you want to get. In order to get the entire list, just press F4 over here. Now you can see what are the active jobs. You can get the CCID that the system is currently working on. You can get the date, time, timestamp, anything from that. What is the current system time? What is the current system date? What is the date format that the system is using? There are plenty of options here, and all related to the systems uh, that you are currently working in. Month, time zone. What is the time zone? Then so let's see how this works. What you have is I'm getting the value of a time zone inside this variable. Now here also you need to keep in mind that all the all the values that are described over here will be having some data types associated with them. You can get that list, and here is that list. So you need to make sure that if you are retrieving the system value for active job, then you need to get that inside the decimal variable with 5 length. So this you need to make sure. Similarly, so if you want to get the time, that has to be 6 means respectively. If you want to get the seconds and hundreds and like that. So if you want to get the time zone, then it has to be 10 characters. So this is what I did here. I got the time zone into this string1 variable, and I got the offset, time offset in the string2 variable. So this offset is with respect to the UTC 0, and it will tell you that currently your system is either, for example, India's time is plus 5:30 UTC. So this is UTC, and then it will give you positive or negative value based on what is the time zone of the system. So let's see how that works. So what I'm doing here is a retrieve member descriptions. I get that member, EMPPF, and I am getting the number of current records into this num1 variable. So if I show you, so these are the four variables, four records that we have in this EMPPF file. Okay, so I should get four directly into this variable. Okay, we'll come back to this one. Now system value, retrieve system value. So I'm getting a time zone in string1. Currently the string1 is blank and string2 is blank. So I'm getting the time zone in string1 and getting the offset in string2. So offset is -5. And what is the time zone for this? In string1 is Eastern Standard Time 3. these are different naming conventions for the time zones. So the important thing is just the Eastern time zone, and then you get the offset from here, that is -5. The retrieve job attribute. So retrieve job attribute also works the same way. You just put in retrieve job attribute, press F4, and you get a list of all the values that you can get for that specific job, for the job that is running at this point of time. So I can get the user, the job number, job name, the type, subtype, and CCS IDs, outqueue library, everything I can get from here. What is the time format that it is using? Okay, there are many options here, and once I do that, I can retrieve that value. So here I ran the retrieve job attribute. I get the job name in str3 variable and get the user in the str4. So let's see what comes in there. This is my job name, and this is the user that is running that job, means the current job. Okay, there are a lot of options here, and means these three commands: retrieve member description, retrieve job attribute, and retrieve system value. Just go in there, put in create a CL member, and put in this command, retrieve member description, press F4, and look for means search for all the descriptions of these values that you can get from that command, retrieve member description. So this will give you all the information about that physical file member. Okay, similarly, retrieve system value, you can get any information um, based on these variables. Look that up on the internet, or here also you can press F1 and look in detail what is happening with those. And this comes very handy when you want to extract the system time, system date, and do some operations onto that. Similarly, we have this retrieve job attribute. What is the job name user of the current job? Just go through these and this will help you a lot. Now, let's just see. Okay, so this PGM and NPGM. So PGM we had there, and at the end we used this. The only dif- uh, the only way means these are only mandatory when we are passing in the parameters. Then this is how you declare a variable. This is how you declare a file. You can add copybooks into this using the include. Then there are change for delete file. All the there are many CL commands that you can use. I showed you retrieve system value, job attribute, member description. You can create libraries, create source file, compile the programs, um, run the job in batch mode by using submit job command. All that we will discuss further. Then we have this logical controls also. uh, Simple loops, how you define loops in a CL program, how you manipulate the flow of the program, that we'll discuss further. And then we have the built-in functions, the substring, lower, upper, trim, that we discussed. And this is how you call the different programs using the call command or the return. This is also used to control the flow. And finally the npgm tag. Okay, so this is just the basic session, and tomorrow we'll be exploring in further onto the logics, and we'll explore some other CL commands. Any doubts till now?
Yeah, Saurabh, we have got one doubt from one of our freshers. So He has asked whether to use whether while using the changeware command. So do we need to declare the variable also, like we are using changeware, then in bracket ampersand num10 value 1. So do we need to declare num10?
Yeah, so you can only means change for itself says that you are going to change this variable, right? So this variable need to be declared at the top or before the this particular statement that you are going to use. So this variable has to be declared, and every means whatever you are using over here, you have to declare those variables. This is common in RPG as well in CL. The variables that you want to put assign some values to, that has to be declared.
Okay, I hope that is clear. So yeah, there was only one question, and thank you, Saurabh, for such a great session. So I think now we can wrap up.
Thank you. And I'll just request everyone who is in the session, just go through what we discussed today. I'll just share the code also. And so tomorrow it will be much helpful for you when we are going through these logics and built-in functions, other built-in functions and the CL commands. It will come handy for you if you have this basic flow of the CL program, how we use that. Okay.